Good morning, folks. We're back out at Dad's shop today, and we're going to be working on the 1927 Dodge Brothers. I got the hood off, sitting on the floor because it needs a new head gasket. I think it might be getting a tiny little bit of water into the oil. I don't know. The oil looks pretty clean, but it does just look a little bit gray. I don't know if it's getting water in the oil or if it's just getting the engine cleaned out after driving it for a while, but it is getting a little bit of oil in the radiator, it seems. I can't get that off with one hand, but it seems like around the top of the radiator where it's wet, when you wipe it, it looks kind of oily. I don't think that's just grease from the water pump. And even if all that is fine, if I look down the radiator and crack the throttle, I can see bubbles come up in there, and there is oily looking water seeping out the side of the head. So it needs a head gasket. I found a place online to order one. We're gonna tear this thing apart and see about getting that head gasket replaced. Glare is bad, but I bought a reproduction mechanics instruction manual that says Dodge Brothers Motor Cars and Graham Brothers Trucks, and it says in it, where does it say? Oh, right there on the side, 1914 through 1927, but most of their instructions are for before the Fast 4 cars of 1927. They do have a few instructions that are specific to the Fast 4 cars. But I looked in here and it says head cylinder. To remove the cylinder head, proceed as follows. Drain the cooling system. While the cooling system drain, remove the horn and the vacuum tank. I don't have either one of those things on it, so I don't have to worry about that. Disconnect upper radiator hose, remove cylinder head nuts, and lift off head. It'd be that simple, just lift it off. Shouldn't be any issue at all. Then it also says, when tightening down cylinder head, start by tightening center nuts slightly, always from the center, working on each side toward the end. So you start in the center, then to the outside on the center, and then work your way to the ends. If a new cylinder head, repeat this procedure several times until nuts are very tight. So that's their torque spec, very tight. If a new cylinder head gasket is installed, tighten the cylinder head very tight and then get engine hot. After which nuts can be tightened further. In some cases, new gasket installed, it may be necessary to tighten the cylinder head after the car is driven a day or two. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the original instructions, what they said to have. We've got a torque wrench here and everything, and I'm sure I could find the correct torque specs, but I'm going to follow just what it says in this book and give it a try and see what happens. That is a reprint of the book that the technicians got back in the day. So, all right, I'm going to get my camera on a magnet mount here so we can start pulling stuff apart, and then this I don't believe has any kind of a drain like my Model A has a drain right on the lower radiator hose bracket, but this, nope, look right, that's going to be hard for you to see, but right down there is a drain back on the back of the water pump. We'll try that. If it comes loose, we'll drain it there. If it doesn't, we'll just pop one of the clamps off of this hose and see if we can get the water drained out here. First things first, I'm gonna get down here and see if that petcock will open and if it will let any water flow out of it. If I crack it open and anything starts coming out, I'll go find a bucket to catch it all in. It's just, all right, I don't know if the camera can see where I got my hand down here, but this is where the petcock is. the camera down here. Draining right out. This just has water in it, so if I had antifreeze, I would be wanting to reclaim my antifreeze and I would only drain it down just below the level of the cylinder head. But since it's just water, we could just bring the garden hose over here to fill it back up. So I'm just going to let it completely drain out, dump the drain pan outside, and we'll just fill it back up with water. Now I'm going to see if I can get my upper radiator hose off, get the distributor pulled out of there. I'll probably just go ahead and pull the spark plugs just to give you an extra place to stick your finger in and try to get a hold of stuff. Get all that stuff done and we'll start pulling head bolts here. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and just pop these spark plugs out. We'll see what they look like. I've probably got over 100 miles of running around town on it since I put them in. I can see where it's been seeping a little bit along this side of the head gasket too, so spark plugs don't look bad. They're definitely not oily. That one's a little sootier, but not bad. Set these down there out of the way. I'm glad that they're not looking oil fouled or anything. About the same as the second one. All in all, not too bad. We need to get this upper radiator hose out of the way. Yeah, there's definitely evidence that there's been some oil in the water. All right, let's see about. Okay, I didn't think about that before. That's the fan connects to the front of the head, so the fan is going to come right off with this, so we might as well just loosen up that fan, swing it down, and get the belt off of it and get that out of the way right now. Just loosen up the nut on the fan. That fan will swing right down out of the way. Now that it's loose, you can just get the belt out of the way. I don't think it really makes any difference what order I take the nuts off in. So we're just going to pop them all off of here. I think I'll break them all loose. And I'll get the old air ratchet out and zip them off of here after I've got them broke loose. That's interesting. I guess I didn't even notice that. There's no washers or lock washers under there, just nut straight to the head. Well, that one, the whole stud came out. I have a feeling that their step that says lift off cylinder head is not going to be as simple as just lifting off the cylinder head like they say.
Sometimes it's a bit. And it will help to spray a little bit of like PV blaster around every stud. It'll creep in there a little bit and help loosen it up.
Well, let's try that. There we go. Let that set for just a minute here.
Take a rubber hammer and beat around the circumference of that thing.
This poor old rubber hammer's been through some stuff, but it still works.
Still a hammer.
All of a sudden we're beating on this. Leo's very excited about it. He doesn't know what's going on, but he wants to be part of it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's moving at all. Well, heck, I don't know. There's no good place to get in there to pry on anything either. It really is. Really is no good spot to get in there to try to pry on it. Okay, after some tapping and prying and banging and moving around and back and forth and a little bit of head scratching and shit's getting serious because Dad had to pull up a chair over here.
Yeah,
so
I was getting tired.
So it's getting real in here, but we got it moving around. I'll pull the camera down here real quick so you can see they're just starting to get a little crack here. The back's hanging in tighter than the front is. On the passenger side, it's hard because the intake and exhaust manifold is in the way, and I don't have another intake and exhaust manifold gasket. I made the one that's on there and didn't buy another one, so I don't want to necessarily take that off. But there you can see we got good wiggle going here. If I can get the back over here to wiggle like that, then I think we're gonna be okay. And then we just, like the book said, just lift the head off. That is wiggling too. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. If there's enough room to get this one in there so that you can get on this side, rock it back and forth at the same time, rock it back and forth over here, maybe we can get it to move a little bit. But
you me that hammer so I can tap this in better. It's out already. But it's moving pretty good.
Yeah, it's moving easier than I expected it to, I think.
Well, that don't want to stay in there.
Here, let me come on the back on this side. I got space to get it. Oh, that moved a lot. I'm gonna come back to the front now, but that, when I pried back there, that came up quite a little bit there.
Are the middle ones moving at all?
Yeah.
That one's wiggling, that one's wiggling. Yeah, they're ready to come up.
Get in there. There we go.
There she is.
Just like the book said.
Yep, lift it off. Oh yeah, the fan, yeah.
Well, quite a little bit. There we go. There we go. Ah! Well, that,
You can see what we did. I mean,
the engine definitely looks like somebody has been in there and scraped the carbon off the top of the pistons before.
there's no ring or anything.
But I mean, just like on here, you can see
Yeah, it's clean.
actual scrape marks on there. So somebody's been in here before and scraped all the carbon out. But yeah, the inside of the pistons look good. There's no grooves, there's no scratches. The inside of the pistons, the inside of the cylinders. But I'm also not really seeing a lot of evidence of a bad head
I
gasket.
don't see anything wrong.
Definitely before, where it was leaking was over here. There was stuff leaking out that side of the head gasket.
And it could have been a used head gasket they put back on it.
Yeah,
And
they definitely didn't always replace.
Yeah.
Oh, that's delaminated a lot right there. My hands are greasy, so I don't necessarily want to touch my camera, but look right down in here.
Yeah.
And that's where it was leaking down that side of the block. Well, I'd like to look at the bottom side of it if I can get the gosh dang thing. There we go. The bottom side of it doesn't look too bad either, but I'm guessing that my leak was on this side. There's a lot of delamination coming back in there around that hole and everything, so
And it just looks clean there, like it's been washed with something.
my guess is that's where we were leaking from. Alright, I'm gonna pause the camera, go back and clean up my hands, find a wrench that I can turn the engine over by hand so we can get each piston up to top dead center. We're gonna scrape and clean and get this all shined up in a clean surface for the new gasket to go back down on. That's probably just about good enough with that. I'm going to get a fresh, clean razor blade and scrape around everything with a razor blade now.
I'd have to buy some more someday. Those have been in there for a long time.
Okay, we've scraped and cleaned and scraped and cleaned, and I think that's just about good enough. I'm going to crank this thing over with a wrench until we get it up on top dead center. Number one cylinder. That way I'm able to easily get in there to time the engine again. Yes, that pry bar clip right in there, and that works to turn it over. So we're coming up. That's the exhaust stroke, because the exhaust valve's opening and the piston's coming up on number one there. That's the end of the exhaust valve stroke. There's the intake as it's going down. Intake's closing, and you're coming up on your compression stroke.
Right there.
And actually, the piston comes up a good 1/8 of an inch past the top of the cylinder. If you look around the edge of it here, the top edge of that piston actually comes up probably 1/8 of an inch past the top of the head. I'll kind of wiggle it back and forth just a little bit, make sure it's right there. Yep. That is top dead center on the number one piston right there. Okay. Bottom side of the head doesn't look too bad. I think I'm just gonna a little bit of gunk in the water ports. I'll blow that out with the air gun, but it's not. That might be a walnut shell. There's something there.
You can blow in from up here and blow that stuff out of there, blow in the inlet.
There's a little bit of stuff that was in there, but it's not terrible. Start out by just blowing some air through all the water passages. Oof. That's going to make a mess.
I think I've got to move.
Okay, I got a new idea. Since I've shook up that much, I'm going to take this over by the door and spray the water hose down through there and try to flush some stuff out of there. There's quite a bit of debris coming out of there. Alright, well I propped it up so that the inlet spout was down and sprayed a whole bunch of water through there, and I got some rust and I got some nutshells that
What do on the motor while you look just
even a
blowing
piece
off the blowgun?
in here of a nutshell. We flushed the engine block
Yeah, we did.
out through
Yeah,
the block and came out where the
yeah.
water pump is. But seeing this, I think sometime in the near future that might be another project too, just to pull that bottom radiator hose off and flush a whole bunch of water and maybe get it full and just pull the hose off and let it quickly dump all the water out. Do that 2 or 3 times and try to make sure there's not anything extra still floating around in there.
But you don't run hot or nothing, so.
No. All right. I'm gonna wipe this off, and then I'm gonna get that razor blade again and get the drill over here with the wire brush on it. I'll wire brush it first, then I'll take the razor blade, scrape all the way around. Then I guess we'll open up the head and or the gasket and make sure we got the right head gasket for it. Just scraping all the gasket surface with a fresh razor blade. Now you got a nice crisp edge, and it does a really good job of getting it down to the bare metal. Scraping off any old gasket material that might still be hanging in there. Alright, I'm going to grab the head gasket and let's open it up, and hopefully it looks kind of like this head. They got it packaged up good. It's wrapped to a piece of plywood, so they got it packaged up to where it's not gonna get damaged in the mail. I found this online, a place called Olson Gaskets, and they've got, you can get full gasket sets for this car. They've got gaskets for lots of old cars, like not just Dodge Brothers stuff. They have gaskets for all kinds of old cars, but this looks like the right shape to me.
Got a nice piece of plywood to build something out of now.
Yeah. Nice copper gasket. I don't know what the copper with the material in the middle. I don't know what the material in the middle is, but it looks pretty good. I do have some Permatex copper spray gasket that says it's for high temp sealant, improves heat transfer.
I always use that when I ever did one.
So we're going to put some of that on it before we put it together. But yeah, that
Coolant holes and stuff like that.
not that way, it doesn't. There we go. Everything was off just a hair that way. Yep, all the holes line up. Everything looks good. All right. We got the nuts off of the studs that came out. Got, that's not the right way. Got the studs threaded back into the block. I sprayed the copper coat stuff on my gasket here. Now I'm going to try to get the gasket down on there without touching up the gasket surface too much. There we go. Well, I got it all slid down without touching any more of the actual gasket surface than I absolutely had to. Now let's see if I can get the head back on there.
fin.
Grab that fin on the bottom one. It's digging into the.
There she goes.
I just was gonna ask Dad what kind of oil. He said I should put some oil on the threads of each one of these studs before we bolt them down. And I saw him over there grabbing an oil can. So I think that's just got regular motor oil in it, doesn't it?
Yep, that's what you use.
We'll put a little bit of oil on the threads. Oh, Jesus.
That just makes it seat down better.
Like I said earlier, I'm not going to bother putting the horn brackets back on now. I'll save them, but since I don't have a horn, I think it will look better without them for right now. I'm going to start all these bolts and I'm going to just snug them down with the air wrench just until they meet the head and get a little bit snug, and then from there on I'll do all the tightening with the regular ratchet. So start in the middle and work your way out. So I think I'm going to do this one, then those two, those two, those two, and around the ends. That makes sense to me anyhow.
Yep.
And we'll start again in the middle. So I've done that one, that one, that one, that one. Now I'm going to come here, do this one. And this one. And this one. And this one. This one. And I think I'll just go one more snug on each one, then we'll get it all put back together and started. Let her warm up and all right, well, I guess I can get my distributor back in there. Nope, it did go down some more.
Okay. So you can try to turn it back so that it'll be a half a turn.
Well, I got marked where this spot was. So as long as the rotor's pointing towards the number 1 spark plug, which it is,
Okay.
then I can just line back up. I've got, I know it's gonna be hard to see, but there's a little oil port here because this is a Volkswagen distributor that I made work on here. And you're not gonna be able to see the spots where I scratched, but I scratched some spots right into here. And right there is where it was lined up when I took it apart. That'll get us close anyway, and then when I start driving it, I'll be able to tell if I need to advance or retard the timing a little bit more. But that's right where I had it. Before when I was driving it, so that's not the right socket. So that ought to get us pretty darn close to being back where it needs to be. No. One of these days I'll get some new plug wires put on here so we don't have a scraggly, mismatched set of plug wires. But for right now they're getting me by for cruising around town. Put my spark plugs back in. Get the top radiator hose back in there and the fan belt back on. We can fill this back up with water and see if it's going to run. Leo is wore out. I made a bed out of Dad's, had an old mattress out of his camper. I made Leo a bed for out here at the shop.
I'm kind of wore out too.
Brought it out here today and he is, apparently he's had enough of this game today. He was sitting in the car earlier because he's ready to go back home, but
The car ain't quite ready.
yeah, the car ain't quite ready to go back home yet. We'll get it running here and let it run for a few minutes and warm up. And we'll torque everything down one more time.
Gotta set it up very tight.
Yep. And that's where it's at right now, but
Yeah.
it might get not very tight.
Well, it might be just pretty tight.
Yeah. Or it might be very tight now, but once it runs, it'll only be pretty tight then.
Yeah. Or kind of tight.
I want to make sure I got it right since they were so explicit in the book to tighten them down very tight. There we go. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get this hose back in here. I might trim about a 1/2 inch off of it. It was, when we put it on the first time, the radiator could be rocked out of the way. It's probably too short now.
That'll be harder to fix.
There we go. That was a lot easier. Square that up a little bit. There we go. That ought to be snug enough. I'll get my belt back on here and we'll rock the fan back up and tighten it up. This fan, you just, well, I'll get the camera down here a little closer. It's just on a bracket that swings around and you just pull it up tight and snug down that bolt, and that's all that holds it in place. But the only thing it's turning is the fan. There's no generator, nothing else on it, so it doesn't have very much resistance. All right, I think I'm ready to drag the water hose over here and fill this thing back up with water. And hopefully it doesn't run out anywhere. All right, I got the drain cock that's back at the water pump closed. So I'm just going to start filling this thing back up with water now. It's clear empty, so it's probably going to take 2.5 gallons maybe. Yeah, yep. Yeah, everything's empty, so it'll probably take 2.5 gallons or so to fill it back up. The only thing I don't like about filling it this way is I can't hear it gurgling and stuff, so I don't know when it's getting close to being full. It sounds like it's getting up there now. Yep, it's up above the baffle in there for sure. So I'm gonna wrap this hose up, and then I'm gonna get our little jug that we use to dump in stuff, and I'm gonna get some water in that, and then we'll get it started. And as it's running and burping the air out, I can keep adding a little more water to it. All right, well, in theory, it should just fire right back up, so I'm gonna get in, start it up, and we'll let it sit here and warm up for a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try it again. I had the ignition timing set up as 1432, and it's 1342. So we got, and it says clockwise. I think I, for some reason, was expecting it to be going counterclockwise. So I had it way wrong. But right now we got number one, and I know that's right. I had the rotor pointing at number one, and at number one on top dead center when that piston was completely top dead center. So I know that that's right. Look at this. Look at this dog in there with his tennis ball in my car. He got over his naps pretty quick. Okay, back to what I was saying. We know that's number one. It says clockwise. 1, 3. That's going down to number 3. So 1, 3, 4, and then 2. Let's try it again. All right, look out, doggy. There. I should have made sure I wiped everything down before I started it up, I guess. Leaked over here before and didn't see anything coming out right there. The water level didn't drop down in the radiator, it's still right there. I just have to let it run for a few minutes now and get warmed up so I can replace those head plates. Okay, the car's been running for like 15 minutes. It's still, you can plug your finger in the water in the radiator. It's not hot, but this thing never gets hot and it takes a long time for it to even warm up. So I'm going to call that good and snug these bolts down again and then after I drive it home I'll snug them one more time. For this video. Thanks for watching, especially if you're still hanging on at this point in the video. We really do appreciate it, and we appreciate each and every view. Like I say all the time, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, the best way you can help to support us is just to watch those ads when they come up. The second best thing you can do is hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video if there's someone you know that might like this video. Leave a comment down below. Those all help out, help with the old YouTube algorithm. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and come on back next week. We'll have a video or something here for you to watch.